Hi there. Today I'm going to be building the model Takemikazuchi that I unboxed in my other video. There's no way that this is going to be in real time, so expect a lot of heavy edits and fast forwards and stuff like that. But I'm going to be going through it as much as in detail as possible. I'm probably going to be doing just like a bunch of jump cuts and stuff to show basically as much putting the pieces together as possible, and maybe going through like, how do you do this? So how do you do this? Well, there's a couple basic tools you need. One is the instruction manual. A lot of this is in Japanese, so page 1, I'm assuming that's all about lore and stuff. And as you can see, get the glare out of there. And that's kind of like small print too. You probably still can't see, but there are many parts to this. Like literally hundreds. They come in little frames like this, and then you cut the parts out. What you need is a little, I think they just call it just a cutter? I don't know. I got that in a computer hardware repair kit. You need a X-Acto knife. Doesn't matter if it's a literal X-Acto knife, it could just be a sharp cutting tool. And if you really want it to look good, a Gundam marker. I got this at an anime con for like $1.50 or something. You can get them online for in sets for a couple bucks extra, but they come out to a little bit cheaper per marker. Anyway, let's get down to it. So you don't need to know Japanese to build it, but it's basically like a really complicated Lego manual. Parts come in frames like this one. You cut those out, you put them together. It's just Legos for adults and nerds, maybe both. Probably, definitely both. So I'm gonna walk you through it. First little panel here. As you can see on the page before, there are frames marked A through Q, and then also polycap 1 and 2, which are these. They're kind of like hinges, maybe. The first panel calls for frames D again, because as you can see, we need times 2, so do it twice. H again, and I. Oh, and N is already missing. Off to a great start. Here's N. It's a cool little glassy kind of decorative thing. Now it looks cool, but I hate this already just looking at it, because there's a lot of little tiny parts and they're all decorative, and it's going to be a pain to fit them in because I will have to cut them very precisely, especially these ones here. And I can also tell that they will have to fit into very small spots, sticking into little tiny pegs, which is going to make it very annoying. Anyway, moving on. So let's start with D11, it says. So Is that right? No, 17. Sorry, my bad. This is how we get off to a good start. Let's get all these other ones out of the way. So what you want to do is get as close as possible to sort of the rail that holds it into place and just snip it right there. And do that 2 more times to the other ones. And off it pops. And as you can see, there's a little bit here. Maybe you can't see it. I need a better camera, but there's a little piece that kind of juts out. You want to get rid of that, and that's what the X-Acto knife is for. A lot of people use sandpaper. I tried that once. It doesn't work very well. It just takes a ton of time, and when you're done, it looks terrible. It just looks like somebody just decided to mess up with your thing. So if you have it needs to be really sharp, so get a new one when you can, or get a good one when you can. Okay, not all the way, but we got most of it. There we go. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Use your nail and make sure that you don't have any little edges. And then do the same thing for the other 2 pieces. There we go. You can still notice it visibly, but it's not as bad. The point is, it doesn't need to jut out. Now you can still use sandpaper to polish that out and get rid of the mark, but a better thing to do, I think, would be to just paint it. Now, I'm not too particular about visibility because odds are it's going to be covered up in the end anyway, but I'm not completely sure about that. We'll see when we get to the end. This is a really fine one, like delicate, so you can do it backwards. And it's smooth. And you repeat. And this is where it's going to go on fast forward for a while. Now you can see there's some pegs going out. Make sure you don't cut those off. Those aren't the things that you want to get rid of. You want to get rid of the things that were attaching the piece to the frame. Right here, right here. And there's a third one right here. These ones will connect it to the first piece here. So it's pretty obvious which ones are which, because one looks like a peg that goes into a hole and the other looks like a piece of trash. But hey, you never know, right? Alright, now I kind of did a cardinal sin right here, and I dug a little bit too deep. So while trying to get the edge off, I took too much off right there. You can see that it's all white, so that's a bit of a problem. Now I can paint it or just hide it and hope no one sees it. Probably no one will see it because I don't really show these off to people. H2. And while I'm at it, I'll cut off H6, which is another part. Now with some of these you can cut really close, like right off the frame. I'm gonna try that here. And that's a very clean cut. I think it's perfect. Alright, that's done. So this Gundam marker, as you can see, maybe really have to get a new camera. There's some subtle lines on these parts. Maybe I can find a better piece to show you later. Those lines can be filled in with the marker, and it just gives like a bolder kind of feeling, so I'll fill in these lines. Now if it was a success, you might actually be able to see the lines now when you wouldn't before. I did kind of go over the lines a little bit, and when that happens you just get a little Q-tip, maybe a little bit of water if you went way overboard, and just like kind of nudge it off a bit. Alright, what's next? These are D17 and 16 and H2 and 6. Can I just put these on? Yes, I can. So where do these go? This is one of the things that is kind of hard, is remembering which part is which is why you don't just randomly disassemble the entire frame from the start. So this looks like it's 16 and 2. So that just pops right on top. And now your purple has a black lining. And the same goes for this in reverse. Usually if you can't remember it, it's kind of easy to figure out based just on sort of the position of what's going on in sort of the surface. If you've got good spatial recognition, you can kind of figure it out just based on what's going on in the setup. Alright, so we're actually about half done with this one piece. Even though it looks really complicated, it's actually not. It's just got a lot of lines. Next is I4. So get rid of these. I4. And this frame has 2 of each number. That's because we'll be doing this twice, and it only has 4 pieces. So they just doubled up and said there's 2 of each piece per frame instead of making 2 frames. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of 2A frames and stuff like that. I think every piece except for this and the orange one has 2 frames. This is done. Okay, and I'm not gonna put black on black, so that's done. All right, how do we put this in? Looks like this goes in between here somewhere. Right, there's a little nook that it goes in right there, and you can see that right here, and then don't really have to work too hard. It pretty much just snaps in. A lot of them snap in. Some of them you have to force in as you go on, and like right now it's just like, okay, it's put in, it's done. But as you move on, later and later, it gets less and less accurate, and you have to kind of start to force things. That's when, you know, like, you start to question yourself, and it's a mental battle, almost. Alright, this one, I hate this frame, I don't like it already. 18 and 19. So, as you can see, there's one of each, so... Alright, this one I'm gonna just have to cut at the 18, 19. I'm gonna give a lot of room. Oh, that's another thing about these. They fly off way in the distance and you just lose them. So, let me find some pliers. So one thing that you don't want to do for sure is twist the pieces off. Like you can see right here, it's really tempting to just like twist this one a bunch of times and it just pulls right off. That creates a bunch of openings that you don't want. Actually, it says to keep this little bit. The instructions, it says don't cut that bottom part. I'm not sure how correct that is because it's in Japanese, and my Japanese education consists of 1 year I took in high school 10 years ago. So, okay, let's see how these fit together. It looks like they don't. It looks like they're just... Often what these are is they're things that you shove in. And actually... So for some reason it stopped recording, but got both the pieces in. The first one, it was simple. I just pushed it in and it clicked. The second one, I had to shave off a bit more at the bottom, and then I had to just like jam it down with a pen like this. But it's ready to be connected together. If that's all it is. Yes, that's all it is. So. God. That's the one that I just spent so much time getting in. And it's gonna be a huge pain, isn't it? This is where some sort of glue would be handy, but I don't think I have any. Yep, that's gonna be a pain. Okay, I found some wood glue to put on it, so while that's drying, I'm just gonna put that to the side, and we get to do the same thing twice, all over again. So, that's probably going to be in fast motion for you guys, so I'm not going to be doing much talking. This is more just killing time while the glue's drying, so I'm going to be talking to you in a few more seconds probably for you guys. Alright, looks like the glue worked, and the first piece is together, and again, the other pieces that I was putting together, one of them went right in, the other needed some glue, so those to the side to dry, and add the next piece, D12. Okay, and that should fit right in here. Yeah. There we go. Alright, that looks like maybe a shoulder. Whoops. Alright, that's good. And that's going to be it for part 1 here. Part 2 is going to be the rest of the full build, but at least here you got a sort of tutorial of what the basic ideas and concepts and tools you need to do to build your own little kit are. So I'll have the rest of the full build up sometime next week. Editing is going very much slower than I thought it would. Who'd have thunk? Actually, doing the build itself took a lot longer than I thought it would. It was actually about 3 times more complicated than anything I've ever done, so it was pretty cool, pretty fun. So if you wanted to just see like the basics of what this kind of thing is and how do you get into it, you pretty much got your bases covered in this video. And if you want to see the rest of the model being built, then I'll have the rest of that coming up in a few days. So keep an eye out. This isn't my usual kind of stuff on this channel, but if you do like anime and Japanese kind of things, I do tend to do some videos about that, so take a look at the rest of the channel, subscribe if you want, leave a like, share this video, and maybe I'll see you around.